Hello, everyone. We have Bonnie Bruderer here, and today we'll be talking about getting on a streaming platform and earning money by your content. But before, first things first, Bonnie, in 2 sentences, what was your business idea and how does it help the world?
2 sentences. Well, my business idea was to disrupt the way that film distribution was done. I was a filmmaker myself and had a pretty rough experience in the industry, which is very typical. So we created a platform that distributes videos and films and helps people get on the major networks without having to go through all the hoops and expense and all the things that used to come with the film industry.
Sounds interesting. So, if I want to go on your platform, I can do that.
Yeah, I mean, we have an interview process, but we work with most independent filmmakers, content creators, video podcasters, web series creators, food series shows. And if you have a decent quality of production, then yes, we can work with you to get it onto the major streaming platforms.
Okay, great. And how does it look for me as an, I don't know, let's say my content is good enough and I go through that filter, and how does it work?
Yeah, so there's really two sides to our business. We have an owned and operated streaming platform, an app. It's called Binge Movies and TV. So if you have an iPhone, you can go to the App Store and get it there, or on Roku or on Apple TV. And there you'll find thousands and thousands of films and shows. And so when you work with us, you get a channel on our platform. You can upload your video content there, very similar to how you would upload a video to YouTube or to Facebook. We give you a portal that you can log in 24/7 from anywhere. And then that is automatically displayed on those platforms under Binge Movies and TV. The other side of the business is we act as a licensing agent for you. So we take that content, we prepare it in a way to pass it through a quality control that would make it up to the standards for Netflix or Amazon Prime or some of the other major players. And so once we've done that, we get some caption files, some artwork, some what's called metadata, just some details about the film or show. And then once we have that passed, then we constantly are pitching our connections. We make, many placements per day. I saw today, right before I logged in here, we've done 7 or 8 major licensing deals today. So we really work on your behalf as you're going back to doing what you're doing and creating content or making films. And then we're licensing that out with all of the relationships that we've built over the last 10 years in the film industry.
Great. Uh, how much will it cost me?
So we have packages that range, start around 5,000 and go up all the way to $12,000, depending on what people are looking for. But most
Mhm.
people come to us, they do a basic package with a setup fee, and then it's just $197 per month after that. And that would allow them to distribute a number of different films, or if you have a series, you can do a season of a series.
Okay, great. And how do I benefit from that?
So, two ways. I mean, the biggest thing, obviously, is the instant exposure. So, once you're on the Binge network, on Binge
Mhm.
Movies and TV, then you're automatically distributed on Apple TV and on Roku. And that really benefits everyone differently. Financially, you get a revenue share in that network. So, we're the only network that I'm aware of that gives back a percentage of each transaction that comes through our platform. So, every month we look at how much money came in, we divide up based on the views to each movie and film, and you would get your dividend from Binge Network. So that's the first thing. The second thing is other people just use it for the exposure. Maybe you have a show that, for example, we work with a lot of medical shows, and those people may not just have a show, but they may also have a practice, or they may have a product or a service that they're selling. And just by having their content distributed to a very large audience, I mean, we're talking hundreds of millions of potential viewers when you're looking at Apple and Roku and all of the major platforms. So they might gain new clients, new customers, new sales from that. And then the other way is some of our clients use that distribution and that exposure, that guaranteed distribution, to secure investors for another series or another film. So it's, those are some of just the basic ways that Binge can benefit any content creator.
Great. Okay. So what was the moment when you went from that, okay, this is the idea I have, and what was the breakthrough? Okay, let's make it real. Was that a moment, a person? What was the trigger?
I think it was two things. So we have a bit of an interesting evolution as a company. We started as a TV show in New York City many, many years ago, back in 2015. And we were a talk show Monday nights on three different FiOS cable networks. And over time, that show was distributed on multiple different platforms that I was in charge of getting the distribution for. And so the first thing was really seeing that, hey, distribution is very valuable. It's something that people need, but they can't necessarily get. You can't just knock on a door at Amazon and say, like, hey, I want my film to be on your platform. It doesn't work that way. Many of the major networks require aggregators, they require having a contact or an agent. So when we saw that distribution was really something we'd cracked the code on, we realized, hey, I think there's something to this, and we should offer distribution as a service. So that's really over the next like 3 years. By year three, we had evolved from just a production house into distributing content as a network. The other thing is I was a filmmaker also myself. I produced a film called Influencer. It's on the social media generation in the advertising industry. And I went the typical route. I went to the markets. I paid all the thousands of dollars of entry fees. I got an agent. After 2 years, every time the agents went out to pitch it, I would have to follow up. I would, be asking for information. And then it was always like, oh, we had some interest, but, nothing concrete. And after 2 years of that, finally, I was like, you have to do a deal. Like, this is ridiculous. It's been way too long. So they did one deal on the airlines, on all the major airlines. And our film was shown, all across the airways. And I didn't see one penny because typically they recoup their fees. So all of those years of marketing, of printing, of pitching, of all of that was eaten up by any revenues that we generated. And I'm like, what? Like, I was furious. And so that's really when we started launching the licensing service. We really realized, like, hey, we're already doing this. I think we can now take what we've built and what we've created for distribution on our own network and offer it to the other platforms. Around that same time, COVID happened and viewing behavior across the world went up 10x and production stopped overnight. So our company had amassed this very large catalog over the last 7 years of content, and we started to get virtual knocks on the door like, hey, we need content, what do you have? And so we started licensing out our content that way. So I think that those two things really combined, like the seeing that the industry was broken and there needed to be a better way, and then also the timing of COVID and the consumption of media going up, which it hasn't really, it's definitely backed off a little bit, but the streaming industry is very hot. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. It's growing, day after day, year after year. So so we were very lucky as far as the timing and all of those things coming together.
So, did you start it on your own, or there were other co-founders?
I did. No, completely self-funded. I bootstrapped the whole company, even back in the production days when we were a TV show. And then we grew, at one point we had about 20, maybe 25 people working on the show when we were a production house. Then we've scaled it back. Today, we just have 4 full-time employees and a lot of contractors that work for the company, and then about 150 different partnerships that we work with at the different networks. So we've kind of gone like on different trajectories over time, but we've always followed the trends in the industry. And because we've been a smaller company, we've been able to successfully do that and been able to create revenues for all of our clients. We've licensed over 10,000 titles. So we have a high volume and a very large catalog that we're working with. And so it's been a great industry to be in.
Great, yeah, I like that, and I also think that's the future of for everything, to have these small companies that are agile, that could pivot fast and follow the trends and adapt
Yeah.
really fast. That's the great thing.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I do think that's the key to business. Otherwise we would have gone under. Like at every turn, there's always something, like a huge roadblock that pops up, and you can either crash into it or you can go and go this way and create success. And I'm
Mm,
proud of my team. Is that's what we've always done.
great. So, what surprised you the most on your entrepreneurial journey, in a good or a bad way?
I think that I'll answer both. I think that in a bad way, we'll start there. And it never really gets easier. Like I think in the beginning days, if you've started a venture, you're just literally blood, sweat, and tears. You're working around the clock. You're putting everything into it. That changes a little. Like I have weekends now, which I never had for 7, 8 years. I have
Mhm.
children, so I have to go to birthday parties and I get to go to the park and do all kinds of things. But the hardness never wears off. You always feel like, oh, this could be the month we go under. This is we need to grow, grow, grow. Like you're always pushing, pushing. And that part, even after a decade, doesn't go away. It's like always there, always driving. So that part has really surprised me. It's like you never get to this pinnacle where you're like, okay, a plateau, great. And I think that's my personality too. I'm a big driver. I'm always creating. I'm, evolving into something new all the time. From the positive standpoint, I think just looking like when you take a step back and you look at what we've created, like when I look at our network and I'm like, oh my God, people are always like, how did you build this? And I'm like, honestly, I don't know. I mean, I
Yeah.
do because I was there for 10 years and I put in the hard
Mhm.
work and I have an amazing team surrounding me. But when
Mhm.
I look at the app and I see all the films on there and the award winning shows and things like that, it does surprise me and give me chills from time to time. I try to really stop and watch something on our platform as often as I can because each one of those people, they came to us for a reason. We were attracted to each other for a reason. And so that part really surprises me and just how much you can get done. We've had, over time, we've had interested companies wanting to acquire Binge and things like that. And we'll entertain a conversation. They'll ask, like, what's your head count? 150, 200 people. There's like four of us. And so that part is always pleasantly surprising. It's like how much a small team of dedicated people can accomplish.
So, what's your advice for getting the right people on the bus?
Oh, I mean, you have to really live your vision. You can't be halfway committed. You have to really be all in, and then you're going to attract people that have that similar drive. I mean, I barely have to manage my team because they're all self managed. Like they will do more because of their own pressure they put on themselves than me coming in and saying, like, we need this or we need that done. I think that anytime that we have, because we have over the years gotten, one bad apple or someone that doesn't really fit that team or that like has a job, they're like, oh, well, I'm off right now. And I'm like, what? I don't even know what that means. What are you talking about, crazy? So I think that anytime we've been in a situation where we've had that, and I can only really think of one person that was just the wrong fit, we are quick to get rid of them because it doesn't do anyone, maybe once or twice, like over the years, but it doesn't serve anybody. And like for me, I'm moving so fast always, and I need people that are running with me too. And
Mhm.
and I think that that's really important. Whatever type of team you're creating is like you have to have those like-minded people. Maybe we don't have the same things in common, or we do. Like Allison, our head of sales, she is also a mom, so we've got that in common. But I don't know. I wouldn't say that we have a lot of other common interests, but we have that mutual respect and hard work and dedication. Whereas our operations person, like we're very, very different people, but she's amazing and knows the business inside and out. And I trust implicitly, like if anything she tells me, I'm like 100%, I believe more than probably I even know at this point, because that's
Mhm.
her
Mhm.
wheelhouse. So yeah, so those I think are some important things to have when you're looking to build out a team.
Yeah, great. Uh, so, did you get any business advice, or what was the best business advice you received?
Tons. I am a voracious learner. I'm always listening to things. Like if there's a blank minute, even between like you and I talked, half hour ago, and then I had 20 minutes. So I'm listening to a podcast because that's like extra time, right? I thought we might be on for that whole time, but I had, so like anytime there's extra time, I'm voraciously devouring anything that I can to help improve.
Mhm.
I also worked for Tony Robbins for 10 years. So I had a lot of mindset conditioning. I worked for Harvey McKay, who wrote the whole Swim with the Sharks books.
Mhm.
So I, was shoulder to shoulder with some of the greatest business minds in the world and got to hear what their takes were and how they operated. And I think I learned just as much from reading their books, listening to their information, as literally watching them and working with them.
Mhm.
Like with Harvey, when I worked for him, he was a very driver. Like there wasn't ever a moment lost. You just, drive, drive, drive. I would drive me nuts. But he was a page out of his own book. He never was unfair. He never treated me poorly, because I was the role I was in or anything. And so I really learned a lot from all of those interactions, not just, hey, write down your goals and make a target of how you're going to get there. All that stuff is valuable. But I think working with great leaders and executors is equally as important.
Mm. So be in the right group of people.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So what would you suggest somebody who wants to grow, who wants to follow your steps or do something extraordinary? What would your advice be?
Don't let anything stop you. I think that everyone, the world, financing, tariffs, like there's always a million reasons to not do what you want to do when you want to do it. So if you listen to any of that, you'll follow through. Like it will stop you. I think that you have to be very dedicated, and you also really have to understand your why. Why are you doing this? Why are you, back when I started building the company, my why was extremely different. Like I wanted to build a network. I wanted to change the film industry. And I've done all those things. But now I am a mom of 2 small children. So my why becomes very different. My why is, I want to put them in a great school. I want to be able to support them for anything that they need. I want to, I think of my childhood, and if I wanted like a cheerleading uniform, like my parents gave me a hard time and it was too expensive. I don't want my kids to feel that. Like so your why changes, but it doesn't mean the mission or the job has to change. I've been doing the same job for 10 years, but the why pivots and changes. And I think it's really important to know that. I spent my morning at a splash pad for 3 hours so I could chaperone my daughter's field trip, because that's really important to me. But then I rush home and I do, all my emails and I do everything that I need to do. So just being really clear on your why, being willing to work really, really hard, but also know your goals. Like every day I write down my goals, even 10 years into this. And I write down like, here's the invoices I need to come in. Here's the sales I need my salesperson to get. Here's the criteria. So I'm always managing towards something. I'm not just lollygagging around and in the ethers.
Like that, yes. So you make life happen, not let life happen to you.
Exactly. Yeah. You have to. And I mean, and life will happen and it will be brutal and things, the rug will get pulled out, but then you just figure out what's next. What can I do next?
Mm-hmm. Great. What do you think are the most common mistakes companies make?
I think that, not knowing your market. Everything is messaged to market match. And so a lot of times, at least in my early days, I mean, now I've been in a niche industry for so long, I kind of forget, but like I used to meet so many people that just like have a passion, like a lot of coaches, a lot of people that just, this one thing and they want to just have everyone feel the same way that they do about it, but there might not be the right market for that. So I think that that's really important, making sure that you know your market, you know your product, and there is a match there. And then I also think just the lack of understanding of what it takes. Like, I don't think people really understand how many risks that you have to take as a business owner and how thin the ice is at a lot of times. And you have to be able to trust. Even still, sometimes, there's always months like where the sales ebb and flow. And especially if you're at a growth phase, like it's as painful as it was in the early days when you're like, how are we going to keep the lights on? But you have to really manage your mind of like knowing like it's just a phase, and a month it's going to come up again. Like that's just how it goes. And so I think that a lot of people fail to realize that, and then, run out of runway or money or whatever the case may be.
So would you change anything? So is there a piece of advice you'd give to your younger self if you would start again?
Oh, such a great question. I think that it's all been valuable. I think, like, I don't know how I would say, like, you can go through less pain. Like you always, again, when you're experiencing it for the first time until you're building that muscle, everything seems so large and so expansive. I think where we are as a company now is really having to scale in, as far as like, there are a million things you could do. You could be making TikTok videos every day and Instagram and on YouTube and all these places, but does that really matter for us? Like, does that really matter? And I think I've gotten to the point 10 years in where I'm very clear on that, like We have a booth at VidCon coming up very, very soon. And everyone's giving us these great ideas. Oh, you should do this and have these hashtags or whatever. I'm like, we have 2 outcomes. Here's our outcome 1 and here's outcome 2. I literally don't care about anything else. Like, I don't care if 1 million people are tagging us. Like, that's not my outcome. And I think it takes a lot to get to that place and to be able to say no to all the things that come to you on a daily basis, you know, and, oh, you can be in this magazine or you can be over here. And we're really in like a head down. What are the metrics? Like every morning I get a text on my way to driving carpool to school. I get a text with the numbers, and that's really all that I'm not saying that like the money is the only thing that matters, but like all those other things had to matter all this time to get to where we are. So my role right now is just making sure 2 things are growing, revenues are growing and subscriber count is growing. And if those things happen, everyone wins. But I'm not doing like, oh, you could teach a class on LinkedIn, because so many people are just like, oh, I'm over here now. Oh, I'm over here. I'm over here. And you lose so much focus. So that's what I would tell my younger self. Like, just put your head down and go for those like whatever that metric is or that goal or that goalpost, like go for those and don't worry about all the noise. There's always going to be a blue sky, a vine, like something else popping in there that really isn't that important. And some aren't even around anymore. So.
Yeah, great. I like that. You're established entrepreneur now. Do you still have some big challenges?
Oh, every day, of course. I mean, you're dealing with humans, so you're gonna have the human factor, right? So we have a sales force, and the sales, you know, they ebb and flow, and you have to manage that psychology of the person that's in a slump and you need them to sell. And there's that. Then there's, you know, technical challenges that come up, and this doesn't collaborate with that. And then you have customers. You know, we might have, you know, out of 100 customers, 98 are super happy, but then there's 2 that are super pissed off and telling you how awful you are and how horrible. And, you know, and that it's like so hard to not listen to those 2. You can get 2 emails in the same day, and one is just singing your praises and telling you how you changed their world, and the other one is just like, you sold me, you know, and you're like, oh God. So yeah, those things I think are a continuum, and it's something that needs to be managed on a daily basis.
Mm. Okay, so regarding your offer, how do people get to you? How do they start, and
Sure.
how do they contact you and start with working on? And how do they prove if they're a right match to
So
do
the
that?
best,
Even.
yeah, the best thing to do is if you're a content creator, go to bingedistribution.com and you can do a complimentary consultation. And our content team will take a look at what you have, and they'll tell you honestly if you're a fit or not a fit. And the packages are all listed there if you're looking for distribution. If you're a viewer and you just want to watch great content, you can go to bingenetworks.com. Oh, no, wait, sorry, bingenetworks.tv. And you can find all of our thousands and thousands of shows and films there. But yeah, those are the 2 ways. If you want to just chat with someone, they'll take a look. They'll let you know like what's the best route for you and if we can place your film or show for you.
Great.
Yeah.
And if I have a good content and come to you, how fast can I, on average, for instance, expect some results?
So if you came to me and you signed up or you went to Binge Distribution and you bought one of the packages, and you delivered, say, 10 shows, if they're all ready to go, we can have them on the Binge Network that airs on Apple TV and Roku and iOS the next day. Like, it's very quick for that part of it. The QC process, which is what is needed to get into the major platforms like Amazon Prime, Tubi, Netflix, that usually takes 2 to 3 weeks. There's a little bit of back and forth. You have to deliver additional assets. Once you're past there, usually within the first week, I would say like 99% of our clients within the first week have a pickup on a major platform. So you would get a deal memo in your dashboard. It would say, congratulations, Robert. You were just licensed to Amazon. Here's the terms and conditions. You sign it and you're off to the races. So yeah, it's pretty quick and easy. And then over that year or longer that you're with us, I mean, we have clients that have been with us for 7, 8 years. And each time we get a new deal for you, which is quite frequently, you'll get that in your dashboard. And so that's really what you can expect. And then from there, it's usually about a full quarter of it running on a platform until you start making the revenues there. For our network, we pay out the first month. So once you're up and live, then you'll get a dividend from our platform because we give back a percentage of every transaction to our filmmakers.
Excellent. So if you if I don't have anything yet, but am thinking of, I don't know, making content, making films, making anything, what would you suggest is the best working thing right now?
So it's tricky because good content is what I would say. Everyone always wants that answer of like, what's going to get me on Netflix? That answer changes all the time. Right now,
Mhm.
the answer is true crime, children's content, documentaries. Like, but in a week, it could be something different. In a year, it could be something totally different.
Mhm.
So I think that something that you're passionate about and something that it's the same thing about business, like something you're passionate about, but also there's an audience for, right? You can't just like be into, antiquing in some weird part of town, any town Europe. Like it has to be interesting. There has to be a backstory behind it. And if it is, then people will want to watch it.
Excellent. Great. Okay, so I think that's perhaps everything. Do you have anything to add for the end?
I would just say, believe in your content. The world needs your work. A lot of times people are scared to put something out there or they don't think that their message is going to land with somebody, but you would be very surprised with the, thousands and thousands of assets under our management. We have films about absolutely everything. And sometimes the ones that you wouldn't think that are a little bit more obscure are the ones that do really, really well in licensing. So, put it out there and take a risk. And yeah, we would love to help.
Excellent. Well, thank you for lovely talk and for all your informations you shared. It was great to learn everything new and to talk to you.
Likewise. Thank you so much for having me, Robert.
Thanks.
Bye,
Goodbye.
everybody.